Governor Sarah Palin made history in December of 2006 when she took office. She's, as the governor of Alaska, the first woman to hold office. She is somebody continued to be admired by millions. I was watching CBS Sunday Morning. I like that show a lot. It's real gentle. Who is it? Charles Osgood is the host, and he's used to be Charles Kuralt. They play the classical music, and they do really interesting profiles. And there was Governor Sarah Palin profiled from her home in Wasilla, Alaska. What an honor it is to welcome on our guest line the author of Sweet Freedom, a devotional, and it is a beautiful, beautiful book. Governor Sarah Palin with us here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Governor, it's been too long. How have you been?
I'm doing great, and yeah, Mike, I agree with you that doesn't Charles Osgood and his voice, it just reminds you of back in the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like old school, and they do neat features, and they take their time, and there you are being profiled Sunday morning. First of all, you're so blessed, as you said, to wake up and look out over that view. That your home is so beautiful, and it was just the lands. It was just breathtaking to see where you get to wake up most mornings.
Well, come up there and visit us, and we'll show you even more of God's creation that'll just blow your mind.
It does. I mean, it was fun to watch your conversation and to kind of hear your heart a little bit. First of all, let's start with the book. I finished it last night. I mean, I go through it as a devotional. And what a beautiful, beautiful devotional. It's called Sweet Freedom, and you have to be very, very proud of this.
Well, I'm very proud of and honored, happy to have the opportunity to compile years and years of journaling and being able to be honest with people and let them know, hey, here are some experiences that I've had through my life. May you use them to help you perhaps face some challenges and overcome. And the experiences that I have in my life drop me to my knees every single day, just making me rely so much on faith in God that He's got this. He's got it under control. And especially, Mike, in these tumultuous times, we have a worried world all around us. I think people need some real hope in their lives, knowing that great challenges in front of us, but not of our own might and power, but taking action when God equips us with might and power, we can change some things.
Well, it struck me as I held this devotional in my hand over the weekend as the events of Paris unfolded. We as a people instinctively turn to God during these difficult times, but, it kind of occurred to me that a devotional like this can sort of guide us in the right direction. What's neat about the book is there are also pages with blank lines where you can write notes and you can journal yourself. I mean, I guess that's sort of the idea, right? Because this, as you said, reflects years of your journaling.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's different about the devotional, too, because they're, kind of a dime a dozen. There are a whole lot of them out there, and I read a whole lot of them and have relied on daily devotions for most of my life since I was a little girl when I became a Christian all those years ago. But what's different about this is I want to point people to the Word, Old Testament and New Testament, where there are verses in the Bible that give us answers to specific questions and challenges that we face today from the right to bear arms. I mean, there's some Second Amendment stuff there that Jesus would talk about, and I'm showing people where it is and letting them know issues like taxation, issues like refugees. What do you do with them? How do you show compassion and yet you acknowledge you are a rule of law people and you have to respect the security and safety of the people around you? Each of these specific issues that we happen to be facing today, believe it or not, there is a blueprint for finding the answers, and it's in God's Word.
Well, you've got me intrigued because obviously I'm a huge champion of the Second Amendment. We see the Second Amendment challenged by the left every single day in our country. Please remind me where so I can look for some devotional inspiration from your book on the Second Amendment and in this devotional.
Jesus says, "Take up arms." He says in Luke 22, he says, "Hey, if you have a purse, you know what? take it. But if you have a sword, which was the arm of the day back then, take up your sword and let's go. The journey begins. And he says, if you don't have a sword, then sell your purse, sell your cloak, and go buy your sword, and let's go. You need to be ready to defend yourself. He says that, Luke 22:36.
I love it. I love it.
And there
Luke
are others in there, too, where God expects us to defend ourselves and not rely on others to do anything for us, and that has a lot to do with self-protection.
It's a beautiful, beautiful book. I hope everybody gets their hands on it. Sweet Freedom, a devotional. Sarah Palin. There are Christmas devotionals in here in time for the Christmas season. And again, I'm honored to have my very own copy. Governor, I can't let you go without getting your take on the state of affairs we find ourselves in. Yesterday, President Obama speaking from Turkey at the G20 summit, and it was as peculiar a presidential speech as any I've ever seen. He seemed to be stammering and talking about the need not to confuse Islam with ISIS, and we can't discriminate against Muslims, and it's not our way to turn our backs on Syrian refugees. Give me your take overall of the leadership we have right now from the Oval Office, and maybe your takeaway from the president's address from Turkey.
Yeah, well, I think as made manifest yesterday in the statements that he made, we are certainly suffering under such weak leadership in this country. And I think the vast majority of Americans are saying enough is enough. And that status quo, it's got to go. And that's why people are getting geared up and happy about the choices on the Republican side of the ticket where there's a competitive primary and, excited to change out this leadership because our president in such denial about evil, that evil exists. And we can't pretend that we don't know who is masterminding the evil that has struck Paris recently, that is being threatened to strike Washington, D.C., come after America, come after Israel. It is aspects of that Muslim religion that is more of a death cult, that they being adherents to a love of death more than life. We can't deny that that's part of the Islamic jihadism that is embraced by too many over there.
I think it was Ted Cruz the other day who said the difference between Syrian Christian refugees and Syrian Muslim refugees, and of course the vast majority of refugees are Muslim, but the difference is the Christians aren't likely to take up weapons and start slaughtering people.
Absolutely. I think we draw the line there at, beheading children, crucifying children. And I just, for the life of me, I just cannot understand how the president thinks that he is fooling the American people, that there are so many out here that are naive enough to believe that he's right on this one. He's not. He's in denial. It's something purposeful there that he would choose to try to sweep a lot of this under the rug. And I say that, Mike, because his actions never match his words, and that applies to where we are in fighting terrorism today. He can certainly talk the talk, about doing all that we can to secure. He's the antithesis of what it is that we need to secure our borders and keep our people safe. And that's his number one job. That's the federal government's pretty much one and only job that they're to do, is take care of national security.
Did you see the Andrea Pizer piece this week from the New York Post, how President Hollande is making President Obama look like a fool? Here's Hollande saying we're at war with ISIS. They seal the borders. Again, headline today in the New York Times, France issues a call to arms. Those are all positions and declarations that we're never going to see from Barack Obama.
Well, did you ever think that America would be in a position where we're following France? Hey, tell us how to be tough on the world stage, please, Frenchmen. Wow. Yes, but more power to them. And you even have to, and I say this, I know that you're going to understand this, and I hope that your listeners are too, but when you consider other leaders on the world stage today, there are some things that our president can look to in them and emulate. Now, take Putin, for example. Of course, he's not our friend. He's not, we're never going to embrace him and understand him because he's the old KGB, he's still got that in his blood. But look at what Putin does in respect to protecting his people. You never have to guess whose side he is on.
Right.
And we look at that, we say, come on, Obama, at least with the stylistic type of governing that someone like a Putin is able to provide for his people. Can you buck up? Can we know coming out of you, Mr. Obama, that you're putting the American people first? And doggone it, Mike, I don't feel that coming from this Oval Office.
No, and you're right. I hear it every day from listeners all over the country who just are almost screaming, Mr. President, fight for us. Will you fight? And let's face it, it's no secret why somebody like Donald Trump has such huge poll numbers. I mean, say what you will about Trump. He doesn't leave a whole lot of doubt to the imagination about who he would fight for if he were elected president.
Well, absolutely. And see that, Mike, that's what puts you in that different category that is not part of the lamestream media, that is just flummoxed. They just do not understand how in the world could a Donald Trump be so far ahead in the polls that they don't understand what the people are craving, evidently, because those in that part of the media are not in touch with everyday, hard-working, patriotic Americans who just desire not a whole lot from our government, but certainly expect measures taken to keep us secure. That is why Donald Trump is where he is in the polls.
Now, I know the answer to this question because I saw you being asked this on the CBS profile Sunday morning, but is there a candidate you'll plan on endorsing, or where does Sarah Palin stand with the current crop of Republican nominees?
Well, I think it is too early to endorse. And by the way, that CBS piece, I went down the whole list and I gave the attributes, and the kudos to pretty much each of the GOP candidates, everyone having their positives, like Ted Cruz, his passion for America and how sharp he is and his experience. And he's so appreciating Dr. Carson and his intelligence. But they kind of edited it, right after
that wound up on the chopping room floor.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not ashamed to say really, really good things about Donald Trump either, and that's what they picked up on. And I'm just happy for a competitive primary, as opposed to the sheep mentality of the Democrat Party, where I think it's a bunch of phony baloney competitive primary over on the other side. The skids are greased for Hillary, and we need. I believe that the GOP had really better be focused on finding the toughest fighter who can come up against Hillary Clinton in a debate, in the arena of ideas, and not be afraid of her pulling the gender card, not being afraid of her and the media slapping some label on the opponent, or racist or sexist or whatever, just barging through that filter that they're going to create for the GOP candidate. Who's the best fighter who can take her on and win?
As we go through this primary process, Governor Palin, do you miss it? Do you miss the day-to-day? Do you wish you were back in the arena?
Well, I don't miss the day-to-day. My best experience in the world of governing was, on a local level as a mayor and city manager, and then as governor. What I miss about being governor is being able to call some shots on natural resource development opportunities that the federal government is blowing, and they need to hand off more of the authority that is due states and individuals when it comes to developing, for instance, our oil resources. I miss that aspect of governing where you knuckle down, your boots are on the ground, you're working with your cabinet, you're working with your constituents, you're not flying all over the place, fundraisers and golfing and whatever it is that our president gets to do today. You're actually working for the people who hired you. I miss specifically that aspect of the job is resource development.
Sure, but the CBS reporter inferred pretty clearly that you would love to get back into the political arena.
Well, I would, and I talk about that in the daily devotional also in Sweet Freedom, that we're all equipped with and given by our Creator passions and interests, and He puts those in us, God does, not to tease or frustrate us, but to put us on a path towards using our gifts for the greater good. And much of my passion, much of my interest has to do with American history, our Constitution, the current events today, and how to get American exceptionalism back in our lives.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Sweet Freedom. Governor Palin has put together this amazing inspiration from 260 meditations based on guiding biblical verses. I've got some vacation days coming up. Please fire up the guest room. I'm going to head out. I think I got to head to Wasilla because those views, I'm telling you, that CBS piece, I just envy you and your beautiful family's spot in God's great creation. It's a beautiful place.
Thank you so much for acknowledging that.